So the season 7 trailer for Game of Thrones dropped today, and after I watched it 100+ times, maybe cried a little bit, don't tell anyone, I wanted to talk about the trailer with you and just freak out. Make sure you stay put to the end of the video, or just go to the end of the video, I won't know, for your chance to win this awesome trio set of earrings, Game of Thrones, from the Time Traveling Dinosaur. I'll put a link to their website in the video description below if you just want to go to their site and buy their awesome Game of Thrones earrings. But yeah, make sure you stay to the end. I'm going to do a giveaway for those. So the trailer begins with Cersei talking and walking into her war room where a map of Westeros is painted. She says, "Enemies to the east." And we get a flash to Daenerys' army, with a close-up of Grey Worm and the Unsullied army he's going to lead. I can't say this enough, the 3 heads of the dragon symbol that Daenerys' team has been wearing looks so good. Then we get a cut to the wood map of Westeros table at Dragonstone that the Targaryens made over 300 years ago and Aegon I used when he was planning to take over the 7 kingdoms. You can clearly see on the map they do a close-up of Rosby and Duskendale, which may actually be a huge clue. So we know when Aegon I took over the 7 kingdoms, yes, he started at King's Landing, hence the name King's Landing, but he quickly moved up. House Rosby and House Stokeworth were the first to surrender quickly to Aegon I, while House Darkland and House Mouton fought against him. This has me wondering if the first place Daenerys is going to hit is Rosby in the Duskendale area. Just how much of Aegon the Conqueror's, her ancestors' plan, is she going to follow? I have to believe that having Tyrion being her hand to the queen, and as intelligent as he is, he might say to her, that's a pretty neat, following your ancestors' battle plan, but one, the 7 kingdoms aren't the same as they were back then. You know, you even have some people on your side that definitely he didn't have. 2, there are people that know about Aegon's conquest, and if you start following his warpath, eventually Cersei's war council is gonna go, is she just mimicking Aegon I's warpath? Yeah, we know where she's gonna go next, so I think Tyrion's gonna steer her away from that. This has me believing that Dany heads over with her ships to Dragonstone, is attacked along the way by Euron or the Crown ships, or maybe both. She gets to Dragonstone with some losses, and that while she may hit the Duskendale area first, she hits some other unexpected places as well. Next, we hear Cersei say enemies to the west, and we see some Ironborn ships controlled by Euron, most likely. No doubt in my mind she makes a pact with Euron this season to try to get rid of Dany. On the other hand, she could be saying enemies to the west because Dany has already taken parts of the Westerlands, or at least landed there with some of her forces. They then show another panning shot of the wood map table at Dragonstone. This time we're up at the Vale, and Cersei says enemies to the south, and we get a flash of someone sharpening their weapon. Maybe a sand snake. Though dear God, my brain hurts when I say that. We know the enemy to the south are the Tyrells and Martells, well, sand snakes that have joined with Daenerys. Then the Mad Queen says enemies to the north, and we get another shot of that wooden map table. Here's the fun part about that. We hear her say enemies to the north, and we automatically think, oh, she's talking about the king in the north. But the area they pan to when she says that is actually the Wall, Castle Black, and going beyond that. This shot may be indicating that, yeah, while she may view Jon Snow as the enemy to the north, she doesn't realize that he isn't actually her enemy in the north. The others are. But anyways, after she says enemies to the north, we get a shot of Arya on her horse. She's left her Frey Pie location and is on the move. I'm hoping after she shanked some more Freys, of course. I love them going to Arya after Cersei says, enemies to the north. Cersei is on her list. Arya wants her dead. Maybe Arya doesn't do too much this season, but Arya won't forget. She's just like the North. They never forget, except the North in the show forgot just for a little bit. And she's not going to forgive. If she gets the chance, Arya will absolutely go after Lady Lannister. Then we see Cersei and Jaime on a huge map of the 7 kingdoms as she says, whatever stands in our way. And that map is beyond beautiful. I want a room with that map. We can also see smaller maps as well. We're going to see quite a few war councils and meetings in this map room. for sure this season, without a doubt. And maybe I'm just tinfoiling here, which sometimes I do. Does anyone else think it's suspicious Cersei is standing on the neck? Yeah, okay, yeah, she's definitely discussing the Norse situation. But is this teasing? Foreshadowing? Oh, her precious neck. What if someone were to wrap their hands around it? And Jaime appears to be the only one in the room with her. Very odd. Okay, tinfoil off. Next it goes to Cersei in a chair, not the chair, but a chair, saying, "We will defeat it." I'm 99% sure she's talking to Jaime in this scene, even though we don't see him. I feel like in general this season, Jaime is going to be warning Cersei nonstop about things, and she's just gonna be like, bro, I have this on lockdown. And then something terrible is gonna happen, like it usually does. Like it does all the time. Cersei. Come on, girl. After her statement, they will defeat it, we see marching Lannister soldiers. Every time I see Lannister armor and shields, it makes me so happy. I really love their look the best. So they're marching because we know the Seven Kingdoms are going to war. Next, the throne room with Cersei on the throne, listening to a messenger or someone talking to her. In this shot, we have Qyburn to her side. The Hand of the Queen should obviously be close, especially during dealings. We have Zombie Mountain next to her wearing that super sexy Queensguard armor, and Jaime to her other side in his Lannister armor, which is a relief to me. I don't want him to join her Queensguard. And I don't think Cersei will let him. She needs him to lead the Lannister army. But in that shot, Cersei is sneering and looking highly agitated with the person that's before her throne talking to her. And I have some thoughts on what this might be about. My first thought was maybe he's coming to her and saying, you know, there's rumors about you, some people aren't happy with your rule, whether that's because you're a woman or because of the crazy shit you know she's gonna be doing. And she's a little upset about that. You know, she's very sensitive about the women in power topic in general. On the other hand, she could be receiving news here that, oh hey, some of the Greyjoys are coming from the west, we have a new king in the north, you know, up there, and then we also have this, you know, dragon mother coming for you as well, and oh, by the way, the southern areas, the Tyrells and Martells, yeah, they also really fucking hate you. I think it has something to do with you killing a bunch of the Tyrells. Who would have thought? So, I mean, there could be a lot of reasons why she's looking so agitated or sneering. Another thought of mine was, what if she just got news that her home, Casterly Rock, has been taken by Dany? That would just straight piss her off. I would like to think there would be a private meeting, though, for talking to her about invasions, but maybe this is a messenger that just comes in out of breath or something. I'm kind of hoping what we're seeing here is just her hearing complaints about her rule. She continues by saying, "The last ones that count." And we see Tyrion walking to a cliff with a dragon flying as well. Of course, Cersei doesn't consider Tyrion a Lannister, but has she ever? She's hated him from birth. Him killing their father wasn't what stopped him being a Lannister in her eyes. Hating him more, sure. What worries me about Tyrion in this scene is how worried he looks. There could be a bit of awe in there when the dragon comes up, but it kind of seems like he's really nervous about something. Maybe the cliff he's standing on is overlooking the Westerlands, or maybe Casterly Rock, and Tyrion is looking on in horror as the place he grew up at is being attacked. That has to hit hard, watching a place that was his home being invaded, even if he's with the invaders. Next, Daenerys arriving at Dragonstone and the gates to her family home opening up to her. She says, "I was born to rule the Seven Kingdoms," and we see her touching the soil of her family home, which just hits so hard. Some of you know I've shared this before. I started reading the series about 16 years ago, and I've been waiting a really long time for Dany to get her ass to the Seven Kingdoms. And I know some of you watching probably started before me, so you've had longer of being like, come on girl, like, let's speed this shit up. Of course, I guess the latest book wasn't published that long ago. So anyways, of course I'd like to actually read it in the book, her coming to the Seven Kingdoms, but seeing her arrive at Dragonstone, the home of her ancestors, still really cool, really emotional for me. I know I'm gonna lose it when seeing it this season, but even seeing it in the trailer, I got so choked up. Her facial expressions, her touching the soil. I mean, that's her family home. She's finally back. I'm just gonna upload episode reviews of me just sobbing. That's all it's gonna be. It's gonna be 30 minutes of me just sobbing this season. I know it is. She's then on her throne with a Dothraki guard. She's going to have both Dothraki and Unsullied guarding her, of course. Her throne looks amazing. I don't care what anyone says. I would take show Dragonstone throne over show Iron Throne any day. And we see someone is coming before her, which I hope is Jon Snow. The next scene was perhaps the best, the Unsullied in what appears to be the Westerlands. Daenerys is obviously ordering the attack of Lannister territory. So she isn't exactly following Aegon's plan, which I think is better. I think it's much better for her to strategically split her forces, which, don't get me wrong, Aegon did that as well. He sent his sister wives in different directions, but I mean right from the beginning, doing maybe some sneak attacks, some ambushes. Because again, here's the problem with Daenerys. Yeah, she has 3 dragons like Aegon the Conqueror, but Aegon had 2 sister wives. He was able to send one over here, you deal with this area. Hey, other sister wife that I like to bang, and it's totally not weird when we do threesomes, which I actually don't think they did because he wasn't too hot on Visenya. Hey, I need you to go over here and take care of this. I'm gonna be over here doing this. Daenerys doesn't have 2 sister wives, or 2 brother husbands. God, that sounds so weird. Oh, I need to take a shower after this. She has to stay close to her 3 dragons. If she doesn't, and they're out of control doing their own thing, that's gonna look really bad. That's bad PR. You come to the 7 Kingdoms, and you're Targaryen, and the last Targaryen monarch they had was a little batshit crazy, and you let your dragons go and just start burning and destroying things, yeah, not really good for your image. So she's gonna have to keep all 3 dragons close to her and in control, and she's also gonna have to keep Drogon next to her because he's the alpha dragon, and he's able to kind of just herd the other 2 dragons. So she's at a severe disadvantage than Aegon the Conqueror, who initially, started there with his sister wives, and then they were able to branch out. Now, this might not be a problem not having any brother husbands, because she might have a secret Targaryen. I don't know, maybe that's why he's so freaked out in that one shot where he's on a cliff and the dragon is flying up. Maybe Dany is like, hey, I need you. Show one of them you aren't afraid and ride it. Control it. I need you to do this. And then everyone, and I mean everyone, even if you think you won't, will lose their mind when Tyrion rides a dragon. Also, I know that Lannister guy is just totally dead, but it sort of looks like he's taking a nap, and the Unsullied soldier is seeing him thinking, poor guy, so tuckered out. And then we get more shots of the Unsullied just wrecking the Lannister soldiers, which is to be expected. Next, they transition to people shouting King in the North and Jon, Davos, Sansa, before those loyal to Winterfell. Brienne is also close to Sansa, as would be expected. You can also see Littlefinger is still in his giving Sansa looks position. Though side note, I'm hoping Davos gets an official Hand of the Kingpin, but I know it's not really a Northerner thing. Next, we get Littlefinger telling Sansa that her father and brothers are gone, and yet here you stand. Last best hope against the coming of the storm. If that is in fact him talking to Sansa, I'll talk about that in a little bit. Littlefinger, can you just not? Can you just stop? Just for a little bit, just stop. There's a bigger issue going on than you having your fucking little power and twirling your little evil man mustache. Just stop. I did find it interesting when he said your brothers are gone. If he's in fact talking to Sansa, I feel like that's a little poke that, hey, Jon isn't your real brother, which you could take that multiple ways, like, hey, he's just a bastard, he's not your real brother. Or you could take it that Littlefinger knows Jon's heritage, which I think we have some indication or some heavy hints that he does, such as when he was in the crypts with Sansa and he had a little smirk on his face when talking about Lyanna. Now the question is, if he was in fact saying this to Sansa, would he reveal to her about Jon's parentage? I don't think so unless it really, really benefited him. That's the sort of secret he's gonna hold close to his chest until he can use it and maximize it. On the other hand, what if this is an editing trick to make us think Littlefinger is saying this to Sansa? Why would he call her the last best hope? That sounds like he's sweet-talking Jon and trying to manipulate him. But from where Sansa and Baelish are, it looks like she's probably watching Jon leave Winterfell, and Littlefinger is practically splooging that he has her to himself again, to once again start corrupting. Next, some gates come up. The optimist in me hopes that the gate being lifted is at the wall for Bran to be let through. Next, we see Theon and fire and destruction around him. This is likely a shot of the battle between Dany's forces and Cersei's ships, or Euron ships, or again, both. Theon looks terrified, and I think here he's watching someone either die or he sees his uncle. Maybe both. Next scene is Melisandre being a super creeper and watching some people arrive at Dragonstone. This is probably Dany and co. This may be where she tries to convince Daenerys to take her dragons and go fight the others in the north. I'd imagine Dany would just straight turn her down though. If Mel is still there when Jon goes to Dragonstone, which you know he will, it would be fun to see that interaction, especially if Davos is with him. But I want to talk about a little bit of tinfoil just really quick. How fascinating is it when Peter says, "the last hope against the coming storm"? We see the gate come up, which might be Bran coming below the wall. We also see Theon and Melisandre. All people that may be major players against the others in the end. Well, I wouldn't really rank Theon up there, but who knows. Speaking of others, we go to a scene of wildlings beyond the wall, maybe some people we may know beyond the wall, running from something, and we can probably all guess the others or what. I actually don't think these people are random wildlings. I actually think this is part of Jon's group, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Quickly, the trailer jumps to Arya building a camp and breathing out cold air. I think this is a huge indication Arya is going closer to Winterfell, and it's just getting much colder. Now this next shot, we have at least 11 people standing in a circle, swords out, in a snowstorm. This makes me believe this is a shot of Jon and his team of whoever going beyond the wall to get a white to convince the two queens, hey, this is actually a real deal. Wildlings generally don't have nice weapons. The fact all these people have swords in their outfits I think is a huge clue that these aren't all wildlings. I honestly do believe this is a shot of Jon's party and they got a little more than they bargained for. Hell, if I was the Night King, and by the way, I'd make a fabulous Night King, vote for me, and I sensed the dude that killed one of my friends, yeah, I'd be sending my forces to attack him and eliminate him. They're probably still super pissed about that. I also had a thought that maybe Jon wouldn't be on the wall. He thought, hey, I'm just gonna get a white really quick, and he didn't realize how close the others were now to the wall, and that's when the whole conflict happens. What I think further supports this is Davos voicing over and saying, hey, we need to put aside our problems with each other and band together, or we will die. Jon's party beyond the wall will consist of people that he doesn't necessarily trust, like, or are on board with. And Davos is saying, hey, I get it, but work together. This is more important than who we're besties with. Oh, and how telling that Littlefinger pops up during this line as well. Littlefinger? Not a team player? What? He has to be spying or just being creepy in general, as is tradition. Still during Davos's line, we see that the Dothraki have finally crossed the poison water and they're attacking on land. They just have to be so happy to be back on land again. I think this is also an indication that Davos may be talking to Jon and Daenerys when saying, hey, we need to work together. He ends by saying that it doesn't matter whose skeleton sits on the Iron Throne. Super dark, Davos. I love you. During that sentence, we see a ship battle and one ship being boarded. So we can guess this is another shot of Dany meeting resistance before she even gets to Dragonstone. At the end of Davos' sentence, we see Dany is with Tyrion looking over the map of the Seven Kingdoms that Aegon used when conquering the area, which I think is very telling that it shows her looking at taking over the Seven Kingdoms when Davos says that. It's just another huge clue Davos is trying to talk to both Daenerys and Jon about teaming up and letting go of their own personal goals or feelings for now. We get a flash of the Mountain 2 in his sexy Queensguard armor. I really want to see Jon meet Ungregor. There's some running in the dark, looks like some place is about to get torched, and the most exciting part, I feel like I've said this before, Jon Snow having to choke a bitch. So Jon is shown grabbing Littlefinger around the neck in the Crypts of Winterfell next to Lyanna's statue. And holy shit, look how quick Jon moves. Also, like uncle, like nephew. He could be giving Littlefinger a little throat hug for multiple reasons. Maybe Jon hears the rumor or someone tells him about the rumor that, hey, Littlefinger betrayed Ned. He's the reason why Ned died. Well, there's more reasons about that, but we won't go into that because then there'll be a huge fight. Let's just ignore that part. So maybe Jon confronts him and then Baelish, of course, just lies out of his ass. maybe he's choking him out because he's pissed about what he did to Sansa. Like, hey, you steered Sansa towards Ramsay, and he really fucked her up. And now I have this sister that is super emotionally scarred. If I had a sibling and the same thing happened, I would choke the fuck out of that person and not even think twice about it. And I know Sansa did consent to the marriage, but still, it's a big brother thing. If it is, in fact, a editing trick like I mentioned before, and Littlefinger is talking to Jon about being the last hope, blah, 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 this could actually be Jon choking him out because he can see through Littlefinger's bullshit. I mean, think of the people Jon was surrounded by up at the wall. He can probably see right through Littlefinger and is like, hey, you keep doing this shit? You keep trying to manipulate me? I'll fucking knife you. And trust me, you won't like it. I know. My other thought is about Littlefinger perhaps knowing about Jon's true parents. Maybe he tries to bring that up to Jon as something to hold over him. Jon thinks he's just being the Littlefinger he may or may not have heard about and shows him, hey, don't fuck with me, man. I didn't come back from the dead to deal with little power-hungry bitches like you. Because why would Jon believe him? Jon would instantly think, okay, this guy is just trying to start shit to have power over me or get power over my sister, who in the past he's been really good at manipulating. Littlefinger 101. But again, how much about Littlefinger does Jon know? Next, more battle porn of the Unsullied attacking Lannister forces. The Lannisters are just going to get wrecked this season. Here's the images that really have me perplexed. Arya is looking under something in the dark, and then we see a gross-looking hand reach out, which, please God, don't let that be Jorbear, because his grayscale is looking really, really bad. There is a chance that that's not Jorah's arm covered in grayscale, and maybe it's just people inflicted with grayscale that are being experimented on or perhaps treated in a certain area, maybe at the Citadel. Then we get more war porn, this time the Dothraki probably having a field day and killing Lannister soldiers. I would not be surprised if the Dothraki and Unsullied were split up to fight different areas in the Seven Kingdoms, although they could complement each other really well during battle. Oh look, then we get Jon Snow in some really hot Beyond the Wall gear, and Tormund is with him. This has to be connected to the ring of men with swords we saw earlier. They are running, as I stated before, and probably on their mission beyond the wall to get a white. I feel like Jon needs a long vacation after this. Hopefully not another dirt nap vacation. I'm interested to see who dies on this mission beyond the wall because you know someone has to die. It's Game of Thrones, come on. Then we got sex, the staple of every season. And I love it, because I still haven't learned that you can look at boobies and penises on the internet through Google search. I don't know, I really like the sex scenes that HBO does in general for all of their shows. They're really good at sex scenes. So here is the leaked Grey Worm Melisandre sex scene nightmare coming true. I like how aggressive Melisandre is about ripping open his shirt, and Grey Worm just looks confused. And it looks like they're actually having sex at Dragonstone. Maybe some, I just survived a naval battle, and now let's do whatever we can with, you know, whatever parts you have. Mouth, fingers, whatever, I'm game. Next in sexy time, Yara and Ellaria seem to be hitting it off really well, which means they're both going to die this season. But hey, you're heading to take over a kingdom, sex is a great way to blow off some steam. I kinda hope it's more organic and not just thrown in there for tee-hee sex, though I do like some tee-hee sex. Next, we see Daenerys knocking over a Lannister piece on her war map. Someone dropping in the water and dead bodies, probably during the water battle at the beginning of the season. The fire above looks like dragon fire. And then again, more battle porn! The Dothraki are charging with a dragon flying overhead, and we can clearly see Dany on the dragon. The trailer ends with Jon saying, "The Great War is here," which he means the war between the world and the others, but really it's going to be an uphill battle and a great war just to get everyone to work together. So those are my initial thoughts on the trailer. I could probably go on for another hour. I cut myself off after I got to the 20-minute mark in my script, so I hope this isn't actually over 20 minutes. Oops. Thank you so much for indulging me. You guys indulged me quite a bit. You're just like, this bitch will not stop. She just will not stop. I don't stop. Alright, giveaway. For your chance to win this package of earrings from Time Traveling Dinosaur, just like this video, and in the comment section below, tell me your craziest ass theory for Season 7 based off this trailer. I will pick the winner next week. So what did you guys think about the trailer? Let me know in the comment section below, or follow me on social media and message me there. Except YouTube messaging. Don't use YouTube messaging. It sucks so bad.